Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with astrologer Shelley Overton.
Hi, and welcome to the February 11th edition of the AstroEnergy Astrology podcast. I want to thank you for being here. My name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and I decided to do a podcast after all for the end of the week because it just doesn't feel right not having that for you all. So I'm going to do that, and welcome. I am testing out the background on the Zoom option here, and whether or not my hair shows up will be interesting, but we're going to try it. We're going to give it a shot this week. Anyway, let's see what we have real quick. Today is Friday the 11th, and so the moon enters Cancer in the Eastern time zone at 6:27 p.m. We're going to have a Cancer weekend, the whole weekend, because here it is Friday night. And of course, having the moon just go into Cancer on a Friday night means that 2.5 days from now is how long we have the moon in Cancer, which means Monday will be a moon in Leo day. We also have Mercury entering Aquarius a little later that day. So it's Valentine's Day. And we're going to have moon in Leo, Mercury in Aquarius opposite the moon. And that'll be interesting. We'll talk a bit about that. I don't really see anything other than the full moon next week as well. Those two events are those. Okay, I take it back. So we have the moon enter Leo, Mercury enter Aquarius Wednesday. We have a full moon in Leo at 27 degrees. And then Friday, we have the sun entering Pisces. So we kind of have a bit of a busy week next week. And that's good. It gives us something to talk about. And I'm just going to move my supplies here. I can't even see it there. My art supplies, because I use my desk for art as well. You're going to have some information about the weekend Cancer moon. And Friday, like I said, that's today. It's almost irrelevant. Mercury does join with Pluto today, which is pretty significant. Already did about 4 hours ago at 9:04 a.m. So Mercury joined Pluto. It is information coming out. Research, it's really good for research. It's good for education and understanding of things that are educational. Yeah, so really the event that you're going to probably be closest to is the moon going into Cancer, and moon rules the sign of Cancer. So having the moon in the sign of Cancer means a weekend focused on being around the home, domestic things, cooking, baking, cleaning, organizing, security, could be clutter clearing if you're one of the types of Cancer who is not a hoarder type, because water signs tend to more of a hoarder mentality. They get sentimental about material goods and want to keep them around. But Cancer, especially now with Pluto opposite the sign of Cancer in Capricorn and at very last degrees, is really wanting us to clear out the unnecessary emotional sentiment from our world. And this whole week specifically was very much a clutter clearing week or a letting go week. So we're going to really focus on moving to the next phase. Because we are in the end degrees of Capricorn, we are also looking at end degrees of Gemini as I do this. Of course, the moon has not gone into Cancer yet. Yes, my voice is hoarse. It's kind of the way it is now since my primal screaming in October. I've got a voice that is not the same as it was, sadly. Anyway, moon is opposite the energy of Venus and Mars in Cancer this weekend. So that will mean there is difficulty. It can be because Venus and Mars can represent brothers and sisters. It can represent mom and dad. It can represent friends of feminine or masculine, because they're together. We're going to cover everybody. Venus and Mars together in Capricorn mean that we're very much driven by our own desires and able and quite capable of taking care of those and doing the actions it takes to manifest our desires in the material world. Capricorn's in our sign, represents the material world. As the moon opposes Venus and Mars, we are going to have a difficulty or a stress. I mean, I do look at oppositions both ways, not only difficulty and stressful, but also synergistic, meaning that the two energies work together and we kind of are more like opposites attract kind of energy. And so the moon opposite Capricorn in its own sign is going to show us where we need to have security and how that looks in our world. So our desires right now are very much, oh, sorry, touching my mic. Our desires are in alignment with manifesting security, but can also bring out our fears. And because Moon in Cancer is about the fear and security dynamic, the axis of fear and security, that's going to be a big storyline running through this weekend. And then Mars is aggression and assertiveness, it's forward movement, it's the drive that is the engine of our career, especially in Capricorn, because Capricorn rules career. We are ambitious with Mars in Capricorn. I have someone I know who's got Venus and Mars in Capricorn, and that chart is lit up right now. So if you have either of those, you're definitely going to feel that energy coming in where you're more ambitious and you want to align yourself with your life purpose. And that means any life purpose, whatever is in your chart, doesn't have to mean just a life purpose associated with Capricorn. Currently, Saturn, which is the planet of life purpose, is in Aquarius at 10 degrees. And so we are experiencing this alternative viewpoint. It's a vantage point. It is all of the understanding is coming out, and we are trying to control things that don't necessarily like being controlled, because Aquarius is the sign of freedom. It is the sign of entrepreneurship, which, if you think about it, is an energy of freedom. It's not wanting to answer to someone else. And so we find a path that gives us an income, gives us a purpose separate from that hierarchical structure. And so Mars and Venus, as well as Pluto and Mercury, until Mercury goes into Aquarius, which is Monday, we're going to be answering to Saturn in Aquarius. So really interestingly, Mercury, Pluto, Venus, Mars answer to Saturn in Aquarius, and then Mercury goes into Aquarius. So he will be answering to Uranus, even though he's in the sign that Saturn occupies. So until all of the planets in Capricorn go into Aquarius, they will answer to Saturn, because Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. When they shift into Aquarius, they answer to Uranus. Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, so it answers to Venus, which answers to Saturn right now in Aquarius, which answers to Uranus. So what does that mean? Other than the fact that it's in this circle, it means that we are really energizing the dynamic of Capricorn, Saturn, Aquarius, and Venus, because those all three keep going in this cycle and in this circle. It also means that we are energizing the energy of Venus and Mars, masculine, feminine, desire and action. We're energizing Uranus, which is independent, entrepreneurship, don't tell me what to do, curious, genius, intelligent, clarifying, and also Saturn. And Saturn is the planet that we look for life purpose and grounding. It is the structure that we see in the material world. So it can be systematic, it can be hierarchical, it's linear, it's logical, it's grounded, it's responsible. And so all of these energies work together to give us a story about life purpose, desire, how we take action on those things, and how we take ownership and autonomy around what we desire and what we choose to do. So we see these three working this week very strongly together, because not only are they in aspect to each other on some level, we have Mars at 13 Capricorn, and Uranus is at 11 Capricorn, Venus is at 14. So even though Venus and Mars are beyond an exact trine to Uranus, they are still in an earth sign, and they are still talking to Uranus within 8 degrees of orb. So here's the exact. And then as it moves on, you have about 8 degrees on either side to feel that effect. So Venus, Uranus and Taurus is the unusual or eccentric view of fashion, of clothing, of our face and a facade that we give to the world. It is how we put our money where we put our money for investments. I personally am putting it, as I've said many times, in crypto, in science or technology, or anything that associates to science, technology, engineering, invention, something new, something different. Very good cycles right now. And as you noticed, if you're really into that sort of thing, Uranus went direct, what, a week or two ago? And now crypto's back on an up cycle. So right before Uranus goes direct, of course, it's in a pullback retrograde energy, and then it kind of stations and stays where it's at from our perspective on Earth, and then it moves forward. So the retrograde stationary times are really good times to look about buying something that will be affected when the planet goes direct. And that is true for all planets. And I'm going to give you a disclaimer. I am not a stockbroker. I do not have any education in that realm. I am merely an interested astrologer, and I dabble in it. So you can take my word for face value. Anyway, so as Uranus now turns direct and then moves forward, we will see tech going up, anything with science, including looking into something that could encourage vaccines, or something that would indicate a health connection, but towards something that is research-based, is really good. Actual monetary, which is cryptocurrency, so that could be really good. What else? Possibly space, engineering, science, rockets, any of that. Technology, technological stocks really good right now with Uranus direct. And that lasts, the upward cycle will last astrologically until Uranus retrogrades again this year. And if you're wondering when that is, it's going to be sometime in the summer. Man, I wish I had my voice back, but let's see, it goes retrograde in mid-August, mid to late August. So it'll be the 23rd of August, right there, kind of at the end of fall. And by the way, August is still summer, for those of you who aren't sure. I'm a September birthday, and it's always lumped into fall, but I'm still in summer until the 21st. I don't know if there's anything over the weekend that I really want to touch on per se. Moon opposite Venus and Mars, that happens overnight, late night, Eastern and Pacific, from 11:21 Eastern, and that's 8:21 p.m. Pacific, all the way until Venus is opposite Moon at 12:45 a.m. Eastern and 9:45 p.m. Pacific. So overnight on Saturday to Sunday. What does that mean? Again, it's this clash or synergy, depending on how enlightened you are. The clash comes when you're acting in your ego. The synergy and fortune comes when you're in your spirit, in your intuition. And so the ego says, I want to do what I want to do, and I'm going to take action. And I know that traditionally my desires, if I take action on them, they will yield certain results. Moon opposite that energy, Moon opposite Capricorn, is going to be in our emotion. And our emotions say, I don't really want to do anything by tasking, by taking action, by trying, by doing something physical or laborious, which, you know, Capricorn is a physical sign in the material world. And even though it is not one of the action signs per se, it is a cardinal sign. Action signs tend to be the fire signs, Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries, but it is a physical sign, which means that Mars in the physical sign of Capricorn, or any earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, will want to take an effort, make an effort, and do activities, usually task-based. So there is an action energy with a cardinal sign, and Mars rules the cardinal sign of Aries. So having Aries ruler in the cardinal sign of Capricorn, which is an action in the material world sign, really wanting to take some sort of calculated action. Venus in Capricorn is, I have a desire, but I'm going to do the pragmatic thing, the practical thing. And so draws on Mars to do the tangible, practical thing. Moon in Cancer doesn't necessarily want to look at the outside world. It is very protective. It is very sheltered, and it lives in its shell. It lives in its hard cocoon of emotion. And so having the moon in Cancer means we're focused on the place that we feel most safe, and that's usually the home. And so unless you have Cancer ruling your Capricorn house, which is the 10th house, you're going to probably want to hole up this weekend and not do some kind of activity. So that brings about that dichotomy and that stress. If you're in your higher self, you'll go, okay, intuitively, I know I want to do this, but maybe it's not the best time. And so you may put it off. You may say, hey, I am taking that extra time to really feel comfortable and know when the moment's right. And that's how to use the energy of the zodiac to your benefit. So if you think twice about the potential of taking action, then that's going to really help you in the energies this weekend. So moving on to Monday, we are looking at Valentine's Day. And again, 6:17 a.m. is when the moon moves into Leo. And so that's Eastern. So it's pretty early in the morning Pacific at 3:17 a.m. And we're going to end up having the majority of the day. Unless you're a super, super early riser, you're going to have the moon in Leo for your day. And that means social energy. It means getting out of the cocoon that Cancer has us in over the weekend and really getting out and meeting people, being social, having one-on-one relationships, which is really something that Leo loves. I will say this, though, Sunday is when Mercury joins up with an opposition to Pluto. Monday, we have moon opposite Pluto in Capricorn at 1:07 a.m. Eastern, and we have moon opposite Mercury at 5:27 a.m. Eastern, 2:27 a.m. Pacific, entering a void of course moon, which means not a whole lot gets done for about 1 hour, which isn't very long. That's not too long, 5:27 a.m. to 6:17 a.m. Moon enters Leo at 3:17 a.m. Pacific and 6:17 a.m. Eastern. So moon in Leo, children, wrapping up the story of family. Of course, the moon joins up with Mercury, like I said, just before it goes into Leo. And moon Mercury early in the day is going to be information coming out probably before a lot of us are awake. And then as Mercury enters Aquarius later in the day, around dinner time, 4:54 p.m. Eastern, 1:54 p.m. Pacific, we're going to have a very strong, I would say you'll feel the wind wherever you are. There's going to be a clearing out of the energies. Monday, Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Lover of love here. I don't care if I have someone or not. I just am very happy that we celebrate a day of love. So moon joins up with Pluto and Mercury in the morning, early Eastern time. And so that's just going to be, and actually joins up, it's opposing. And that means that we're going to have a bit of friction. The moon will wrap up an old story around home and family, but yet also Mercury is just past a Pluto conjunction and getting ready to enter into Aquarius. So both moon and Mercury enter new signs early in the morning at dawn, basically here Eastern time, 5:27 a.m. for the moon, or excuse me, 6:17 a.m. for the moon in Leo, and 4:54 p.m. in the afternoon for Mercury into Aquarius. And so we're shifting axes from Cancer, Capricorn to Aquarius and Leo. And that means a shift from home and career and responsibility and connecting to family and security to the energy of social, children, detachment on some level. So Aquarius is much more social energy associated with career. So it's what can these people do for me on some kind of self-serving level, maybe, but on a non-self-serving level, very much a humanitarian. So that would be ego versus spirit of Aquarius. And the opposite sign, Leo, self-serving would be spotlight, larger than life, telling stories, braggadocio, ego, arrogant. Not arrogant, spiritual, enlightened side would be social, generous, cooperative, relational. Yeah, definitely social. So you're going to see both of those with both signs, with Mercury and the moon coming up on Monday. So you will have lots of friendships because, if you're going out Monday night for Valentine's Day, very social, both sides of it. So Aquarius is social with friends and wants to do something like my son, who has strong Aquarius in his chart. He likes to get together for Dungeons and Dragons, and he does things that are more intellectually focused. And so you'll have that energy. And then the Leo energy, which my son is a Leo, so he's got both in his axis. Leo is going to want to go out and be social, have meals, drink, find out how they relate to you. And it is a romantic sign. Leo and Taurus are the romantic signs of the zodiac. Pisces probably a bit too. But yeah, so it's going to be, I think, a pretty good day for romance personally. You'll be engaging in very intellectual conversation and yet also finding out about each other, which Leo's really good at finding out the details and what your past life is or what your motivations are, anything that relates you to them. And then Aquarius is more about the collective and how can we work together to solve problems for the collective. Tuesday, we have a trine with Chiron in the moon. We have an inconjunct with Jupiter. That's going to be a little bit more difficult. The thing that kind of concerns me about Tuesday is a moon inconjunct to Mars, which means it's 150 degrees apart. And that's a bit of a stressor because Moon in Leo wants to be larger than life and dramatic and connected, wants to be in charge and the leader. Capricorn is very demure. They generally are a task-focused sign. And so Mars is engaging in more of a practical, task-oriented path, wants things to be literal. Leo Moon is not literal. Leo Moon enhances. Leo Moon tells tales, is the comic and the comedian, and generally, see, my father is a Leo, my son's a Leo, and my daughter's boyfriend's a Leo. I haven't seen it in my daughter's boyfriend, but definitely in my father. He is very larger than life and embellishes a lot with his communication. He also has Saturn and Gemini and a Gemini rising. So he's got it like on both fronts. But Leo wants to tell an engaging tale, and they are the storyteller of the zodiac. So you're going to get very large stories. And Mars and Venus, because of course there will be an inconjunct to Venus right after an inconjunct to Mars. And Venus wants things to be reliable. She wants to give her heart, but she wants to know that if she gives her heart, it's going to be okay. And there is a structure and a system to that. Opposition of Moon to Saturn on Tuesday. Saturn's in Aquarius. It's eclectic and interested in the larger picture, and the moon is interested in the smaller picture. So you're going to get, again, similar energy to Monday with the moon and Mercury entering Aquarius. But Saturn says, okay, you had these ideas on Monday. Tuesday's the day to make them more concrete. Yeah, Mercury entering Aquarius with Saturn in Aquarius the next day opposite the moon. That's when the rubber hits the road and it's like, okay, what are you going to do about it now? We're creative, but now you got to do the practical side of it. Wednesday, full moon in Leo, wrapping up the story around family. It could also be a monetary story. Leo is the sign of the gambler, and it is a sign of status associated with money. So there could be something that maybe is going away with that full moon in Leo. It could be children taking off for education or for their own purposes, or going somewhere socially. It is children, romance, and creativity. It could be a new project, or wrapping up of an old project is probably more likely. And even possibly an old friendship ending or a relationship that isn't really getting you what you want. There could be some rough waters. And then the moon enters Virgo at 3:42 p.m. There's an opposition to the sun, which is exact. So that's the full moon at exactly 11:56 a.m. Eastern, 8:56 a.m. Pacific. And that would be right around 4:56, I believe, Greenwich Mean Time. 5 hours. I'm adding 5 hours to Eastern for that. So Moon in Virgo on Wednesday after the full moon. Culminate a story around friendships, around romance, around creativity. And, if you have some kind of gambling vice, you might finish off that story. Maybe it'll even be fortunate, because Leo is rather fortunate sign, in my opinion. Moon in Virgo, 3:42 p.m. Eastern. Of course, we're going to get more reined in, more introverted with that energy. And it's kind of ironic because I'm a Virgo, and my Virgo energy is up in the top half of my chart, which is the collective. So I don't feel like I've been an introvert most of my life, but definitely recently, because I do have Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, right next to my sun. With the Aquarian energy coming in, ironically, I just feel much more introverted. And I have Leo at the midheaven, so that's very extrovert. So I guess you could say that, Scorpio risings probably have a combination of both, and may have been feeling a combination of both. So I'll say Scorpio rising because that puts all this energy up in the midheaven and in the 11th house. But if you have a Scorpio sun, you probably also feel this sense of like, I just don't want to be out in public right now. So that's all part of that Scorpio energy. Okay, Thursday, Moon in Virgo, opposition to Jupiter in Pisces, 12:26 p.m. Eastern. We have a trine to Uranus. We have Jupiter sextile to Uranus, which is really good. So even though the moon is opposite Jupiter, which moon and Jupiter tend to be about home and family and transitions with home, family, mothers, moving out possibly. It's also education and exploration. It is adventure and action. And let's see, a lot of education. Jupiter ruling Sag is higher education, professors, college, and Moon in Virgo is teachers. So there may be a storyline. I want to say Thursday of next week, the 17th, is definitely going to have a strong energy around teachers and storylines in the news around teachers and education, and probably how that's being handled. And maybe the Department of Education would also be something under that auspice. We have Uranus moon trine, and that's in Earth. So Uranus, Taurus, moon, Virgo. That's going to be really growing new alternative ideas and finding out the best way to do something, the tasks, the structure with which to move forward. Jupiter sextile Uranus and Taurus is going to be really fortunate for housing, entertainment, art, and technology. We're going to have, let's see, it's just kind of minor aspects, trine of moon to Venus and moon to Mars on Thursday. Again, I'm airing more. It's similar energy, elemental energy, Earth, but those trines can be really stressful. So parents are under the sign of, well, both Virgo and Capricorn, because Capricorn rules fathers. Virgo is kind of a parenting energy in my book, because the energy of Virgo is to teach and to help children grow. So it's a good parenting, educational side. And so there could be news stories about either opportunities or, unfortunately, potential aggression in schools on Thursday of next week, the 17th. Then Friday, next week, Sun enters Pisces. I love Pisces. I have Saturn in Pisces. The sun will be on my Saturn that day. Pisces is universally loving. The moon will be opposite the ruler of Pisces, Neptune, at 8:22 a.m. on Friday, the 18th. We've got a moon trine Venus and Mars also that day, because it jumps the time zones. You'll have a moon opposite Venus and Mars in Pacific on Thursday night and Friday morning in the Eastern time zones. And so that's the energy associated with teachers and how they cooperate, like how parents and teachers and children all cooperate as well. It's overnight. So, this side of the earth may not notice it as much. The other side, obviously, it's the middle of the day, Australia, that energy is going to be right there in the middle of the day in that time zone. And also for the, I think the Olympics ends the 18th, 17th or 18th, if I'm not mistaken. So there will be kind of a learning vibration about the end. In other words, what could we have done better? How did it go? Of course, Moon and Virgo, if in fact they end on the 17th or 18th, which I think they do, there's definitely taking like a review of what was going on during the Olympics and how it worked. I don't know about you, but I've been watching the Olympics and I'm amazed and understand astrologically how, the skiing competition, the women's downhill, and, the lady who went downhill, I can't remember, I think her name's Michaela, but I'm not totally sure about that. Anyway, she went downhill and then she made a mistake a second run in a row, and it really devastated her, and she was on the side of the slope for 20 minutes after that, and they won't let that go. They keep talking about it every night with that. I was watching men's figure skating, I'm watching men's snowboarding, half pipe, and Shaun White's last time as an Olympian on the half pipe. He was very disappointed with his third run. It just didn't go well for him. He landed wrong and had to hold out his hand going down, and it got disqualified as one of his runs. So he didn't make a medal. He was in tears. And so I noticed something, that a lot of these Olympians were really having struggle completing their programs in every single aspect, downhill skiing, the snowboarding, the figure skating, all of it. And definitely we've been going through a lot of this Mercury retrograde for a good portion of these athletic events. And Mercury definitely can have accidents. It can be not fulfilling the physicality of something, like your mind doesn't engage quickly because it was in Capricorn. So it's been really difficult in the Olympics, I find. And maybe after Mercury goes into Aquarius on Monday, the last few days of the Olympics will be a lot better for Olympians, where they will be really on their game and sharp. And even the men's figure skating, Nathan Chen, who did his final performance, he did really well, but even he had a little wobble here and there. And so it's kind of like that accident prone type energy. And so after Monday, I think it could be a little bit better. Of course, Mercury just went direct last week, and now we're looking forward to it changing signs. So definitely pay attention. I think you're going to have no choice but to pay attention, Mercury in Aquarius, because it's going to be a really strong energy of intellect and analysis and awareness. So Mercury in Aquarius for the next 5 weeks is going to be real clarifying for everybody. And I look forward to seeing what exactly happens. It can be accident prone, but it can also be super aware, channeled energy, like you just know, it's clear cognizance. So looking forward to that. Anyway, I don't know if there's really anything else I want to touch on. News stories, Leo Aquarius, definitely the Leo energy this week with the moon in Leo is going to be hyperbolic speech and drama and dramatic, and oh, have you seen it? Oh, it's an alarm. Oh my gosh. So know that that's going to come in. And again, earth signs ground, and if you want something to be a little less stressful and dramatic, channel the energy of your earth energy in your chart.
Hey, this is Shelley. I am editing and I realized I forgot to mention the Super Bowl. Super Bowl is going to start Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific in LA. And so that technically is a home turf for LA. Of course, there is a coin toss, and that decides who receives the ball, who kicks, whatever. But traditionally, I think the team in the place that the Super Bowl is held is the home team. And so that's LA. The chart I have here in this graphic shows the home team is the lower half of the chart, the away team is the upper half. This chart shows the moon in Cancer in the upper half of the chart, which would be the Bengals half. And since the moon is an indicator, I would put that on the side of the Bengals. You can see that Saturn in Aquarius and Sun in Aquarius in the work house, which is the 6th house off to the right side, that would be in the house of the LA Rams, the work of LA Rams. And so that's going to be a bit of a struggle because it's, in conjunct to the moon, and the moon again is in the away team side. So I'm going to say it's going to be an all-out battle with Pluto exactly opposite the moon, and yet the moon falls with the Bengals. So maybe controversial, but that is my pick. And by the way, go Von Miller and the Rams.
Okay, that's all for this week. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a good week. Happy Valentine's Day. Lots of love. And as they say in France, kisses. Bisous. Take care. Bye. Trine early in the morning between the moon and Gemini. None of this matters because by the time you get this, it'll all be history.
Hi, this is Shelley. Thank you for joining us this week. To contact me for a private reading, go to angeliczodiac.com under the Readings tab. Background music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. To purchase my ebook, Learn Astrology, you can find it at angeliczodiac.com, including discounts. Be sure to check back next week and subscribe through iTunes at AstroEnergy Astrology Show.